Ladies and gentlemen, this is Captain Brett with the Marine Minute. I'm here and privileged to talk to you and share with you today our interview with Captain Sandra Yawn of below deck fame and also being a mega charter yacht captain. Captain Sandy, welcome to the Marine Minute. Thanks for spending some time with me today. And tell the audience where are we talking to you from today?
Well, first and foremost, thanks for having me. And we are in Denver, Colorado.
Okay. Way different from the ocean.
Yes. But hey, got a blizzard coming, which I'm really happy about. So we can do some sledding and perhaps some skiing.
Great. So can you tell our audience, where did you grow up in your childhood, and where was the influence, or who was your biggest influence on, rounding you into the person you are today?
Well, I grew up in Florida, so we always had, small boats. We water skied. We had skis on our feet from the time we were 5 years old.
Okay.
So, and life vests. My mom was so afraid that we would drown. Learned to water ski. Was my family, they loved to fish. And then fell into yachting, answered an ad in the paper, was kind of like this aimless child on that merry-go-round of in the wrong crowds. And I had to get a job to pay all my fines. And I fell into yachting, back in the 80s. So that's when it was the Wild West. And, since then it's, become this incredible industry. And and I learned, I actually went to work for this company called Plan Maintenance System, this guy, Steve Mangini, and he taught me, how to maintain teak. And I learned, rust, paint, varnish, rust, paint, varnish is kind of like that wipe on, wipe off, Karate Kid style. Learned how to maintain boats on the exterior. And then I went to work for a guy named John Flynn, and I learned how to maintain boats on the interior because he sent me to basically engineering school. I went to, he sent me to school to learn everything. So I changed the oil, the fuel filters. I kept the boat running. He taught me how to drive it, and it was an owner operator vessel. My first boat was a 67 Hatteras, and I worked my way up from there.
Okay. Was there someone in your early childhood that was super influential into getting to, other than this gentleman you're mentioning, that, helped you become a captain, or was it?
Nah, I wish I could. Nah, I didn't have that. I didn't have that kind of childhood. My childhood was the Wild West.
Okay.
And, I was a little redneck from Florida. I got a belt buckle and a 410 rifle when I was 8 years old. My family were hunters. We were not, we water skied on lakes. I fell into yachting. This is not a secret. I was into drugs and alcohol, and I got sober, and I answered an ad in the paper, and that's when I discovered the maritime industry. And I always say this, it sort of saved my life because it took me to sea and away from that crowd. And that's where I learned. I was so hungry for this industry that I was like a sponge. And then when I went to work for this guy, John Flynn, he just taught me everything. And I was, interested, and my mind was clear. I wasn't doing drugs and alcohol, and I was like a sponge. And I was teachable, and I learned really quickly.
Great. I know a lot of folks have asked me, because I don't know the answer to this. What is your credential that you maintain? What do you carry as your license?
Oh, I have this 1,600 ton 3,000. I have the endorsement upon all oceans. I did the Celestial. I never went for the master mariner side because I don't know. I just don't see myself driving ships. I kind of like the yachts.
Yep.
I actually went to run a vessel for Sea Shepherd, and it was an old Coast Guard cutter. And it was that because I thought, wow, I would love to do this. You make practically no money, and you get on these old ships, and I had to share a bathroom with an engineer guy, and I came from yachts, and these people don't get paid. It's like 3 hots and a cot, and yes, they're passionate, but it's also very different. And we were there to help save the Vaquita porpoise, which is such a great mission, but it just wasn't, if we could do that on super yachts, which we're doing now, the Seakeepers and all these other, it's great because we can still help save, the seas and everything in it, and not have to live like that. So I just don't see myself sharing a bathroom with an engineer guy. It
Sure.
just, it wasn't me. And when he was like 2 foot seas and they're like, we can't go out. I'm like, what? I just didn't understand that. So
You went to the Maritime Academy, right?
I went to maritime professional training in Fort
Okay.
Lauderdale. In fact, my student number is really low. It was when they were over the bridge on 17th Street. They weren't on Andrews. They were on 17th in that pink building.
Is there you have a fond memory of attending the school or anything stand out?
Yeah, honestly, I remember being in school with a lot of men that were older, and we're all taking the same classes, and I just thought, wow, because as you know, when accidents at sea happen, they change laws, right? That's when laws get changed.
Right.
Hence the Titanic monitoring the VHF radio 24 hours a day because of the sinking of the Titanic. So, and I thought these guys are there to survive. They've been doing this their whole lives. They were grandfathered in, and now they have to take these tests. And I felt bad for them because, hey, they were 60 and 70 years old and they're taking these tests, and they drive tugboats in the Mississippi. Like they could run circles around people like us. So that was interesting to me. And I love the camaraderie that you have and the banter that, hey, you hear all these sea stories. And then the person teaching my class was a former Navy captain of a ship, which was really cool.
Okay. That's neat. How about this one? As a captain, and especially when I see you on the show, you seem to wear many hats. I mean, you're the master of the vessel, you're human resources, you're the ass kicker when someone needs their ass kicked. You're maybe a counselor to someone that's crying the blues. What is the most rewarding job of all, and the best hat that you wear other than a captain, if you could pick one?
Obviously helping people get to the level where I am, watching transforming lives, really, because I was that lost kid. And hey, listen, I always say if they could do a psychological test on the maritime people in the industry that go to sea, we'd all fit in one pool because we are nomads, and we're not the norm. We're not the mainstream. We have our own bucket of psychology, so basically for me, it's about helping that person get to the next step. There are so many lost souls out there and they fall into the maritime industry. And if I can help those people, that's great. Some people I can't, but the main goal for me is to provide the level of service that I'm hired for and maintain that safety of life at sea. And to be able to navigate all that at the same time, keeping that smile on everyone's face. And, because we're in the charter business, we're like the entertainment industry, floating on the water and, have all this responsibility, but at the same time, it's all fun and games until something goes wrong. And that pressure is always there. But the real joy for me is watching people transform their lives that were aimless because, hey, listen, they all go to bars, they hear how much money they make, and they think, wow, I could have a career in yachting. They come out of some hostel they've been staying in because they have no direction in life, like I did, zero. And I answered an ad in the paper. They just learned about it at a bar. And so when they step on the vessel, they go, what, I invest in them and say, hey, this is a real career. You can make a lot of money. You could travel the world. You can learn different languages. You can, instead of hitting all the bars, you could learn so much history and culture. So yeah, and some are into it and some really love it and others it's not for them.
Yeah.
But the joy for me is watching that transformation. And if I have anything to do with it, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah, that is so cool. What if there was a young captain and they came to you and say, Captain Sandy, how do I break into the mega yacht industry? How can I become a mega yacht captain or a large vessel charter captain? What's your best advice? How do they break the doors down and get in?
Small boats. You don't start on large boats. In fact, the last two people I've been working with, how hard it is. You can work your way up to a first officer on a 180 or a 200 footer, but you've never been in command of that vessel. No insurance company is going to insure you in command of that size vessel. You can be on a 67 footer like I was. So I went from a 67 to a 92. I went from a 92 footer to a 157 because the insurance company saw I could make command decisions. It wasn't about the size. It was about the command decisions at sea. And if you're always working under some captain that's making the command decisions, you're never in command.
Right.
So people think the big boat's the way to go, but it's really the small boats. Also, boat handling skills. You know why I don't crash boats? Because that's my mom. Little girl, that was me. Knocking on wood. What? Hey, it's okay, buddy. It's because I learned on small boats in the Northeast. As you know, up in Maryland and Chesapeake and up in Boston, the current ripped. You need to know how to dock a boat. So small boats don't have bow thrusters. The 67 I was on didn't have a bow thruster. I had to learn to use my spring lines. I had to learn to work with the wind and the current. And I had to learn how to dock a boat in all weather conditions. And I had to also learn when to say no, which is the hardest word to say when you're a captain to a client. That is the last word we use. It is the finite. It's like when I say no, sorry, sir, we can't leave the dock. It's the last thing I want to say because we're in the business to leave the dock, not sit at the dock.
Right.
And those are the decisions that you learn on a small boat through error that I made in the past, admittedly so, where I've gone, holy shit, I can't believe I left the dock, on a small boat. I made those mistakes that I would never make on a large vessel because, hey, I learned on the small boats. And so for the person who wants to step in, break that, into that big business on those big boats, you work your way up by driving smaller boats. That doesn't mean you have to do a 67, 100 footer, I don't know, an 80 footer. Those boats teach you so much in decision making and boat handling.
That's fantastic advice. So you have something in common with my wife. Based on my research on you, you are a kidney cancer survivor, if that's right?
Yes.
So is my wife. Is there something about that experience that helped frame your life to where you are today?
Well, honestly, I had no idea that I had kidney cancer, and I had almost a near fatal motorcycle crash on my way to the Miami Boat Show, which discovered my kidney cancer. And I remember thinking, the doctor said to me, it's a 50-50 chance it could be cancer. A lot of kidneys have tumors and they're benign, right? So I went to dinner. I go, I'm not going to go. I don't think it's anything. And I went to dinner with a urologist, and he goes, if it's cancer, you could die. Like, go have the surgery. Like, at least let him do the, see and find out. So I was like, okay, because I was a little freaked out. And it was stage 2. And I was grateful that they didn't have to take my kidney. He got the cancer. I'm cancer free, which is really wonderful. And I drink a lot of cranberry juice.
That's great. That's awesome. You have this really positive vibe and aura around you. How do you do that? What do you think makes that come out of you?
I always say I'm God friendly. Honestly, I have God in my life. I'm really solid in who I am as a person. It's not, I always say I'm Sandy. My career is a yacht captain and I'm on Bravo TV. Like, I am a solid person. My career doesn't make me as a human being. I'm a human being first. I love what I do in my profession. That's how I earn my money. Being on television, I feel like God, I didn't seek it, it landed in my lap. So now I feel like I have a responsibility. I have thousands of messages people want in this industry. And I feel so overwhelmed, and I feel like I have a duty now to help these people that reach out to me, because I've been graced with this platform. And contrary to what everyone thinks, we don't make a ton of money. Like, I made more money as a captain working in the industry than I do on television, but there are opportunities that could happen for me where I make more money. So yeah, it starts with God. There's a speech I always share. Aaliyah shared this with me. It's Denzel Washington did this commencement speech. It's called God First. It's an amazing speech, and it's like less than 7 minutes. It's a speech about, you have dreams, your dreams, that feeling on your heart. You should go for it. That's what you're meant to do in the world. But dreams are just dreams, and they go nowhere unless you take action. Like, so many people just sit there and go, I want to be this, I really want to do this, or they're in a dead end job and they don't follow their passion, but they don't do the footwork. And, I shared this with Leah because I'm teaching her how to ski. And I saw a moment where she was ready to give up. And I said, I promise you, if you stick to this, you will be skiing and you're going to love it, because she's athletic. And I saw the moment, and everybody has that moment where they could just give up. But if you just keep working it and don't give up, that's where you make that separates, as they say, the men from the boys or the women from the girls. You choose to continue even when you're tired and you want to give up. That's what makes the difference. And that's, for me, it's like today, I just wanted to go lay on the couch and watch Frankie and Grace, or Grace and Frankie, but I'm like, no, I have work to do. So I took the dogs for a walk, and it's cold outside. I came back invigorated, and that's where it was. I missed your time.
Okay.
But yeah, like, that's where my positive energy comes from. And it's also doing selfless acts, right? So that servant's heart. It's not about me all the time. It's about helping others. By sitting in front of my computer, which I'm not that person, but it takes focus and energy to answer these emails. Talk about a brain drain. I mean, it is, but that's my part about giving back. So yeah, and that fills my heart with joy.
That's fantastic.
And this behind me, the Ocean Rangers, like, I've been working on that 3 years ago. I've invested a lot of money, and now I'm going to go out and ask for money. I got approved for an in-school program to teach kids from 2nd to 4th grade. It's approved. I have to raise $200,000 to get it into the schools by 2021. And it's I have a sample curriculum. It teaches them what is extinction. That teaches them about the maritime industry. It teaches them about why the ocean's so important. I think it's 82% of our oxygen comes from the plankton in the ocean. The trees are the scrubbers. Like, it's so important. Our ocean's so important, in our seas, and so many people just don't comprehend that, especially in middle America.
Right.
These are the people that really need to know that.
You're right. Yep.
We know that because we're on it all the time.
Yeah, right. That's fascinating.
So that fills my heart, and that makes me happy, because I'm a big kid.
So I've read that your mantra is, wake up, show up, kick ass, repeat. Where does that come from?
Honestly, music is a big motivator for me. If I'm feeling low energy, I'll play music that lifts me up. So I did this I Believe tour and worked on a speech, and it came from that. It's like, wake up, dress. Plus I'm sober. So probably in the rooms where I go to meetings, wake up, dress up. They say, wake up, clean up. Because a lot of people don't take showers. I wasn't that person, but a lot of people come from Skid Row, and they got to wake up and clean up. So I say, wake up, dress up, show up, go out, kick ass. Meaning, you know what? Back in the day, I didn't have a car. I lost everything. I had to ride a bus to go look for a job.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I rode a bus. Like, I never rode a bus in my life. I had to wake up. I was living in a halfway house. I had to wake up, ride a bus, and go look for a job. And I found a job. I had to, in a meat packing company, where I had to be at work at 4 a.m. And the only reason I got that job is because I grew up on a ranch. Remember, I said I was a redneck, and we used to kill the animals and butcher them and have a meat shop. And we lived on a ranch, so I used to cut and wrap meat with my family. And so I got that job and I had to be at work at 4 a.m. and I got off at 3 p.m. And that's wake up, show up, kick ass, wake up, show up, kick ass, repeat. And that's really what I did. It wasn't easy. And, life isn't easy. And some of the literature I read, it says trudging the road to happy destiny. Sometimes it's a freaking mountain, sometimes it's a hill, and sometimes you get to sled down it and it's a lot of fun, but it takes work. So it doesn't come overnight.
Captain Sandy, is there a dream, whether you have it either personally or professionally, that you have not yet realized that you're hoping is, in front of you, that you're trying to tackle?
It's right behind me on the wall. In fact, I had this made because I wanted to look at it every day, and I would love to get this into a series. First of all, get it into schools. And I'd love kids, I would want this to be a household name and to teach kids, octopus's brains. These are intelligent species, like to teach them, and the maritime industry, just, what would be cool is to get, when I grew up as a kid, it was like, I don't know, you probably remember this, a doctor, lawyer, or an Indian chief, right? We never heard captain or maritime.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
wouldn't it be cool as a kid to have the maritime industry a dream in the 2nd to the 4th grade? Wow, I could be a yacht captain, or, I could be a yacht engineer.
Right.
Or a commercial fisherman, or anything like that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. That's my that's my realized dream. I just got to get the money to pay for it.
That's right. Well,
unfortunately, it just takes money.
It just takes money. That's right. So in wrapping up here, I always love to ask the folks I talk to about boat safety, things that you see on the water that maybe kind of make you think like, what the heck, or blows your mind. So one question is, what is probably the worst experience that you've had either on charter or on a boat that you were running, that you saw that was, whether it ended in a fatality or something that was near to be, that could have been avoided? What have you seen that you've experienced firsthand that just gave you pause?
Maintenance on a vessel is really important, right? So when brokers sell vessels to owners and they say, oh, it's only going to cost this much to maintain, or they get a survey and they cheap out and they don't do the mechanical survey. I think it's really important that when you go to purchase a vessel that you do a full survey mechanically, because most fires start in the engine room, right? And I've had fires. I've had so many fires I can't even count. And to make sure that people put the money in the maintenance. When a person buys a vessel, the first thing they want to do is change the decor. They don't spend the money in the mechanical side, the part that really matters. And I would like to see brokers really educate buyers, not to discourage buyers, but say, hey, listen, you're paying this price because mechanically it needs some work before you do the cosmetic work. So that's where I would like to see it, because most of the problems I've ever seen on boats is the lack of maintenance, because they were more concerned about their interior. And I would like to see more education on that side for owners of vessels when they get into, you have educated owners and they know, right? They trust their crew and their captain. But then you have new buyers where they think, wow, it's about the look, the style, because, hey, there's some beautiful boats out there, but some of them haven't been maintained. So it's really that part of it for me.
Okay. And well, final question here. What, if you had we'll say a prospect boat owner that, because right now the boat market I know it's going rampant. I mean, there's no inventory. Used boat sales and the used boat marketplace is like dried up, but I have yet to meet a boat broker here locally in Maryland that's not had a a star, studded year, and people are saying it's better than ever. So there's all these people buying boats, whether they're brand new or used. There's no inventory, but yet there seems to always be a drop in the conversation about safety. So as a mariner professional and a captain, what would you say to whether it's the existing boat owner or the brand new boat want to be owner, never owned a boat before? What steps do you think that person or even someone that's been in it or had a boat for a year should be taking?
That's had a boat for a year? I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
Someone that's just getting into boating. I mean, what's your best sage advice to that person, or someone that says, oh,
Okay. Someone who's just getting into boating, smaller vessels or larger. So smaller vessels, I would say, I believe in management companies. So if you got a 27 footer, I would definitely connect. I would connect with a boat club. I would surround myself with people who have owned boats before, if I was a new boater, because I would want to know. And I would also take a boating course, and I would learn the rules of the road, and educate myself and not put myself in danger or my guests. That would be my advice.
great, that's fantastic. Captain Sandy, I really, really appreciate this. This has been fantastic. I've long waited interview with you, and I really appreciate you spending some time with us today on the Marine Minute, and good luck to you.
Okay, awesome. I'm getting ready to go live now with Bugsy. She just texted me.
Okay.
Perfect timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you
We'll
very
see.
much.
Thank you.